Right, I just want to thank both parties for taking the time out to come to this debate. We hope that the debate will be conducted in an amicable fashion, and we also, when I address both parties, both debating parties, I'll be addressing them by using their honorific, just out of respect for their own followers. That way the debate can be conducted in an amicable fashion. Recording devices have been put in display by both parties, as well as there's a live link. If the live link goes down, both parties would release the recordings later based on their own websites or their own methods of communication. The format of the debate is going to be that each party is going to initially present their argument for the first 3 minutes. Thereafter, it will be 20 minutes by each party, 15, and then it will be 10, and then finally, both parties will conclude with 10 minutes. So that is the schedule. Now, in terms of the debate, after discussions, both parties couldn't agree about who would start. Shaykh Asrar wanted Shaykh Atabek to start, and Shaykh Atabek wanted Shaykh Asrar to start, but Shaykh Atabek finally agreed that he will start. So we're going to start with Shaykh Atabek with his opening statement, and he will have 3 minutes. There's a timer there, so both parties know there's a countdown. So if you can just follow the countdown, that would be brilliant. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. And if the audience could just make sure from both sides, there's not many brothers, everybody followed that they're not going to bring huge parties. None of this, like, nare, or none of this clapping or screaming. Both parties do it in a respectable fashion. And then we can just see the ideas that are presented. Thank you very much for listening. And inshallah, I'll call up Shaykh Atabek to conduct his first 3 minutes.
Respected guest, and I hope that after this debate we're going to still remain friends, Asrar, and the rest of the brothers. Anyway, first thing is, for me it's quite sad that it's only debate can bring us together, even though we invited Asrar Rashid and his friends before, and he knows that very well. The second very issue is, I'm not the man of debate, and I'm not really into the debates, because I know there is no any fruit in the debate, because two parties will come and each of them will, their main concern is to win. Okay, there is no any other concern. And also whatever I said, I presented my proofs since, I don't know, was it June? So everything was there. So, but Asrar, he never presented anything. So now means I'm going to fight this fog. Okay, even if he is going to make his presentation in 3 minutes, 3 minutes is not enough for him to explain all of the angles and the dimensions of his claim. Means, based on the 3 minutes presentation, which he's going to do, I have to make my own effort to find out what it could mean and what could be his proofs. But what about my claim? I gave tons of proofs. It's on my Facebook, it is in our blog. So means he's going for something very obvious from our side, and I'm going for something ambiguous, foggy. Okay, so anyway, I say that the place where there is no Isha time means the twilight will remain from sunset up to sunrise. So I say that as long as there is no time in there, means concept of time will fall down, and only the concept of order, which has been established by Quran and Mutawatir Sunnah and Ijma, will remain. Based on that, I say, in the time where there is no time of Isha and twilight remains from the sunset to sunrise, it's only order that matters. Time, no time in Hanafi school of thought. Yes, I know. Shafi'i say, let's estimate. We said, never estimating. Maliki said, we go with the closest country. We said, each country has got its own thing in terms of, own timing in terms of 5 times of prayer. So that is actually the issue that I will be defending, and I did defend that on my Facebook. I presented all of the proofs, and So let's hope that I will understand what Asrar will be saying in 3 minutes time. So I hope that Allah will help me to understand. Thank you.
Sorry about this. There's 2 mics, one from each side, so it's a bit of a hassle. Right, okay, thank you very much. And now I want to ask Shaykh Asrar to come up, and he's got 3 minutes. The timer is just there. If both speakers just will look at it so that we know. I think your representative could do that. That'd be brilliant, because I won't be able to see from there. And same with Shaykh Atabek, if brothers can also signal, so it's fair. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على أشرف الأنبياء سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Brothers, the reason for the debate is to counter a proposition that has been made regarding the Fajr time in the months in which the light of dawn does not disappear. Or we would say the shafaq, ash-shafaq al-abyad, the white light which appears at sunset, that light does not disappear from the horizon. Now, during those days when the light does not disappear, the fatwa given by Ustadh Suleiman and then defended by Shaykh Atabek is that Maghrib prayer can be prayed, after which a person has the decision to pray Fajr all the way up to sunrise. And after they pray Fajr prayer, their fast will commence. The fast will start and suhoor will end. Now, this fatwa, the claim of the fatwa, the proposition of the fatwa was that this fatwa is in accordance with the Hanafi school. My purpose of countering this fatwa is to say that this fatwa is invalid according to all 4 schools. It is invalid according to the Shafi'i school, Hanbali school, Maliki school, and the Hanafi school. The reason being that this verdict contradicts Al-Quran Al-Kareem. It contradicts the position of the Hanafi school that Fajr time comes in once the light appears from Ash-Sharq, the east. The position that I believe the opposition party should have taken is that once the light shifts from the western horizon to the east, this would indicate Fajr time. So people will have from Maghrib time to eat suhoor up until the point where the light will shift to the east and the light will begin to grow. Because this is in accordance with Al-Quran Al-Kareem, and as Ustadh Atabek said, in accordance with mutawatir hadith. Because we know from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he alayhi salatu wasalam ordered the companions alayhim ridwan to stop eating at the time of the growth of the light. Once the hatta yatabayyana, meaning that the tabayyuniya is the actual growth of the light. Now, the purpose of debating this issue is to show the mistake that has been made. My position is that this proposition given by Ustadh Atabek is a mistaken position, and to claim it to be the position of the Hanafi school is also mistaken. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this debate successful and make us reach the truth. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
Okay, so from what I understood, your catch is only in one thing, which is light should shift towards sharq, east. That's only the thing. Did I understand it correctly?
There would be the opposition on the start time of Fajr,
Yeah.
as well as the end time of Shukur.
Excellent. So means light shifting is the start time of Fajr and start time of Siyam.
Yes.
Did I understand you correctly?
Once we determine the Fajr time,
Yeah.
that will also determine.
Excellent. You see, now you are taking from my time because I did not understand in 3 minutes what you actually was catching on me. So that's why you was claiming you had to present your claim clearly. But that's fine. I hope that in your 20 minutes after mine, you will make it clear. So I will have my first 15 minutes to actually tackle what you're talking about correctly. Thank you. Anyway, so first thing actually you said that it's actually it's just devil advocate, okay? It's not my position. But because you are claiming that, I'm opposing Quran. And Quran says that light should appear from sharq. Prove where God mentions that you have to start fasting where light comes from sharq. That's my question to you. You have to answer that one, okay? So sharq. Sharq is nowhere in this verse because Allah says, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمْ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضْ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. Okay, because of the light. Okay, so that's the first thing. But anyway, so in this issue, I do not have any issue, but he's claiming that sharq is in Quran. So it is just side note. Okay, but it's nothing to do with what I'm going to explain. First of all, let's understand, because he was saying that it is incorrect in Hanafi school of thought. So let's understand what Hanafi school is. So first of all, we do have 3 categories of riwayat in Hanafi school. Okay, so we have to get it correctly. First is Zahir riwayah, then Nawadir, then Nawazil. Okay, so Zahir riwayah is the actual Hanafi position, because in Nawadir and Nawazil we have all sorts of things. So that's why if some opinion from Nawadir and Nawazil will conflict with Zahir riwayah, obviously the mu'tamad is Zahir riwayah. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the order of the books in Hanafi school. So in total we have 3 levels: Mutun, Shuruh, and Fatawa. Mutun are the actual books to Hanafi school of thought. And when we say Mutun, we mean the books which actually summarize the 6 books of Zahir riwayah. So it is Mukhtasar Tahawi and Mukhtasar Khuduri and Mukhtasar Karhi and Niqaya, okay, Mukhtasar al-Wuqaya, as well as Bidayatul Mubtadi, which is explained in Al-Hidayah. So these are the Mutun. Okay, but Shuruh is Fath al-Qadir of Ibn al-Humam, okay, or for example, Bahr al-Ra'iq, okay, and all of these Shuruh books will go second. Whenever there will be conflict between Shuruh and Mutun are the Mu'tamad, as well as Fatawa will come as last. So whenever there will be conflict between Fatawa and Shuruh, what is in Shuruh is more reliable than what is in Fatawa. So let's get that correctly. So that's why if I will be presenting my case but based on Zahir Riwayah and Mutun, you have no right to present Shuruh and Hawashi. And luckily in this scenario in which I'm going to talk, there is nothing conflicting in Shuruh as well as in Fatawa, what would be conflicting with Mutun. Anyway, so the scenario of the mas'ala, okay, scenario of the mas'ala which is in Hanafi school mentioned in Muhit Burhani as well as the rest of the books, it's exactly what we have here, okay. And what do I have here? It is in some certain period during the summer in the UK, twilight does not disappear. But what exactly do we mean by twilight not disappearing? Twilight not disappearing means, do you know that light that you was talking about east and west, it will be everywhere in the sky. Okay, not only west and not only east, but north and south also. And on top, in the middle of the sky also. And I did check it by myself last year. Maybe you did go through my Facebook posts. Okay, I took 1 day off, just whole night, going and checking the light. So twilight, which is the whole of the sky being white, you know, the shafaq of Abu Hanifa, it remains. It remains. But if it would not remain, but if it would be, twilight would be after sunset on the west, okay, but not in the east, okay, and in the east appearing after that, after a certain period, then I would agree, because actual position of Hanafi school is the subh appearing from the east, even if we do not have it explicitly mentioned, but iqtidaan, it is mentioned in there. Do you understand? But in our scenario, we do not have that light shifting from west to the east. Obviously, I did bring all of them. I did check by myself. Okay, maybe you should check it maybe this year, as well as astronomical websites, and I did ask my students to prepare all of that. And this is the panorama. Okay, so this is the picture. Do you see? So it is not the west, but it is panorama taken all over. Do you know this bit is actually this bit? Do you understand? So as you can see, light stays there, as well as sky stays as white. I think now actually your first issue is resolved, because your first catch was that light should shift from the west to the east, isn't it?
When I speak, I can...
Okay, that's fine. And what was your second argument? I didn't understand, sorry. So the second is about start of...
regarding suhoor. So
suhoor, yeah.
The person has an option.
Yeah.
Fajr up to sunrise.
Okay, excellent.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So,
yeah. Choose to fast after that.
Okay, that's fine. Excellent.
Meaning you've extended the fast up to actual sunrise.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So anyway, so because we do not have the actual time when that light shifts from the west to the east, means now we have only the concept of order, because time is gone. Okay, time is time which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمْ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. So because of that light which should appear, Quran is not mentioning where exactly, okay, but it's saying that the light appearing, okay, so you will be able to distinguish الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ. So means now that start time is not there, as well as start time of Fajr is not there, because start time of Fajr is when light appears on the east, but that never disappeared after sunset. It will remain up to the sunrise. That light will remain on the east all the time, from straight after sunset up to the sunrise. Okay, so means now we don't have the concept of a time no more. Okay, because time is gone. Time, according to Quran and Sunnah and Ijma, is as soon as that light spreads on the horizon, that is the time of Fajr, start time of Fajr, and that is the time of the end time of Suhoor, so you have to be fasting. But that beginning time, where that light spreads on the east, we do not have that time. Okay, so I think it's quite forward. So it means there is only one and only question, and that is that light. Does it remain always from the sunset up to sunrise? So I saw it by myself. It is on my Facebook. Okay, so each half an hour maybe I was just posting to confirm that it's still there. And the second thing is actually I have presented from these astronomical websites, okay, from different parts of the UK, exactly when exactly that twilight not disappearing starts and when exactly it ends. Okay, so you can just, if you are interested, you can just go and check it from these sources and from any other sources. So I think that is my case. I presented, and it's not the first time I'm presenting. Okay, so it is on my Facebook. You can go and read it if you didn't understand what I said. Okay, as well as I'm just explaining it now, but what was catched on me, I hope that I understood that correctly. Obviously, I took only 10 minutes. I think that's sufficient for me. So now let's listen to the actual presentation, so then I can understand correctly, so then I can tackle it correctly. Thank you very much. leaving it here, so if you want, you can take it.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ustadh Atabek, firstly, your question was regarding where does the word sharq appear in the Quran relating to the Fajr time. If you understood my proposition or my counter correctly, my claim was not that the Quran explicitly mentions the sunlight appearing from the east. What was mentioned was the verse of Al-Quran Al-Kareem, كُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. That the order, the command in Al-Quran Al-Kareem was that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders us to eat and drink until Al-Khayt Al-Abyad becomes apparent from Al-Khayt Al-Aswad. So the order to eat and drink is until the appearance of the word tabayyun is used, hatta yatabayyan. And tabayyun would mean until there is a growth of the light, which you mentioned yourself toward the end, mentioning the light spreading from the east would indicate the start of Fajr time. Now, what you mentioned regarding the slides that you took, the pictures that you took, the light being everywhere, and how would this indicate for us for Fajr time? Firstly, apart from whether questioning which areas of the country you went to, whether there was sufficient darkness, that's another issue. What I would question is what you mentioned regarding the growth of the light. So if we imagine ourselves in a scenario that a person is in a place where there is light in all four directions. When there is light in all four directions, that person witnesses the growth of the light now from the east, because this inevitably will happen, that light will start growing from the east. When he looks to the eastern direction, he will see that the light has grown. This growth in light would indicate Fajr time in accordance with Al-Quran Al-Kareem, because the Quran tells us كُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمْ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. Now the tabayyun, you may say, is from Maghrib all the way up to sunrise. Your claim would be that the tabayyun is apparent, because if we say this scenario is the actual tabayyun, if we claim that this scenario is the actual tabayyun and this has happened from Maghrib, from the setting of the sun, all the way up to sunrise, then this would mean that the command of the Quran, the sarih command of the explicit command of the Quran, which is eat and drink until حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ would be this, meaning eat and drink, the limitation would be up to Maghrib time. So then after this, if we say as soon as a person decides to pray Fajr time, once they decide to pray Fajr, the command of حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمْ, this command now has stopped at the point where the person is praying 2 cycles of prayer. This stop, meaning this limitation that the Quran has told us that eat and drink until the light becomes apparent. We have placed a limitation on this, on the verse of the Quran, by saying whenever the person decides. So for instance, if the sun goes down at 9:30 and the sunrise is at 5:30, the person decides to pray Fajr at 5:20 and he prays his Fajr and he stops eating. Another person decides to pray Fajr at 2 o'clock and stops eating. The determination of when a person should stop is done by the person himself rather than the command, the divine command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This, I am saying, is not proven from Zahir al-Riwayah. If we stick to Zahir al-Riwayah, now what you mentioned regarding Zahir al-Riwayah and the Matun al-Arba'a or the works that do a combination of the al-mutun al-arba'a, or if you look at shuruh, I believe your position cannot be shown from Zahir al-Riwayah, from the position of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala. Apart from this, apart from the person himself determining the start of the fast, so the person determines the start of the fast. For instance, he determines the start of the fast is 12:30. Now the person has determined that Fajr prayer has been prayed before 12:30. He has determined the fasting for himself, going against the sarih nas, the explicit stipulation of Al-Quran al-Kareem. Then at the same time, what you mentioned regarding the witr and isha, you mentioned that, not in this speech but in your article, that there is a time when people merge two obligations in one time. Two obligations in one time, meaning, is it rational for someone to consider Maghrib prayer and Isha prayer Maghrib prayer and Fajr prayer in our case as one prayer? Is this something logical or something proven from the school? You gave the example of fard, of 4 fard of Isha and the 3 witr which are performed, and you gave this as an example of how two obligations are merged in one time. But this obligation of these two things, this obligation was set down by the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in one time with tartib, with order, as we know. Al-Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, as quoted by Ibn Abdin and others, mentioned that the witr prayer is fard amali, meaning what Al-Imam Muhammad al-Shaybani would call as wajib, as what we know as wajib. Yes, no, he would not. But what you mentioned as fard, what the Hawashi mentioned is what? Fard amali. They mentioned this very clearly. So the two fard that are mentioned, one is Isha. Isha is mentioned as fard qat'i, and the other one is mentioned as fard amali. This combination was legislated by the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the combination of Maghrib and Fajr in one time is not something that has precedence. There is no precedence for this in our school. Even the case of Bulgar does not show any indication towards this position, because the case of Bulgar is a total time restriction where the sun will actually go down. Once the sun has actually gone down, straight away the sun will come out. There is no time restriction, no spread of light as is in this country. So in this country what happens, you have the twilight everywhere, but there is a time when the light will begin to grow. As for a shift from west to east, I would argue that there is a shift. I would argue based upon the sighting of people, not my own personal sighting. Whether we carried this out this year with Avicenna Institute or independently, that's another case. But I believe that there is a shift of light, that if a person observes the western horizon, they will be able to see a shift of light. This shift of light, as you said, if there is a shift of light, then this will dismantle your entire article, your entire proposition, based upon the ru'ya, the sighting of a shift of light. If there is no shift of light, for argument's sake, if we say there is no shift of light, then we would follow the explicit command of Al-Quran al-Kareem, which mentions to us, حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ. What is this? This would be the growth of the light. Now in Zahir Riwayah, in Al-Muhit al-Burhani, he mentions in the Mawaqit al-Salah, in the timings of the prayer, he mentions in the timings of prayer, he mentions that there's ikhtilaf, difference between them regarding from amongst the mutaqaddimin, the previous scholars, regarding what is the actual time of Fajr. As we know, later when people start looking into the issue of degrees, they have a dispute regarding intishar, the spreading of the light. How do we determine whether the tulu' al-fajr, is it determined by just the appearance of light, or is it determined by the actual intishar, the spread of light? This difference is found, he is indeterminate in Al-Muhit al-Burhani. He doesn't give the statement of the Mutaqaddimin. So how will you present your position from the Zahir al-Riwayah? This would be interesting for you to present your position explicitly from the Zahir al-Riwayah, not only regarding Fajr prayer. Not only regarding Fajr prayer, they would also have to be regarding Sawm, the fast, that the person himself is the one determining the fast. If you move away from Zahir al-Riwayah, you would have to go on to what Nawadir, the Fatawa, the Shuruh, different things, and you would have to present this position. Also, what would be questionable is your methodology in Hanafi principles, not in the Hadith methodology, which we have the book to analyze. That's a separate issue, how you analyze Hadith. The question here would be how you determine fatwa, and when is it permissible for a mufti, a person who gives verdict, to go away from the Zahir Riwayah. I would question you on the following. Would you agree with Ibn Abidin's Sharh Uqudi Rasm al-Mufti and the methodology set out by Ibn Abidin? Would you consider this methodology as based upon traditional Hanafism, or would you say Ibn Abidin rahimahullah had anomalies, his positions were incorrect and go against the original school of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah? This is very important, because if we differ in how we approach the school, then our legal verdicts, our subsidiary issues, furu', we will start differing in those issues also. Meaning, if you hold a total different set of principles of how you approach the school, then your verdicts will differ from the verdicts that we follow. And this has happened, for instance, in the case of blasphemy. With that specifically, my position is unclear to you, because there's not been any public announcements on my part. What I have said is the actual Hanafi school. So the entire article that was written on the blasphemy law with my name in there, and not at one point did I say what is the actual position of the Hanafi school. Rather, it was based upon Ibn Abidin's methodology. So do you disagree with the methodology or the Hanafi school as represented by Ibn Abidin? Because I would say Al-Imam Ibn Abidin rahimahullah, contrary to what you said in your article, that he was maybe he took those positions because of his Ottoman paymasters. I believe otherwise. He was not employed in that sense by governments, in that sense that he would change a verdict simply because of the Ottoman Empire. I would not believe that is feasible for a scholar like Al-Imam Ibn Abidin. For instance, you studied in Damascus as well. In Damascus, people in Damascus would relate to us from Abul Yusr Abidin the example of how he changed his verdict on the walidain, the two parents of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was going to take the position of Mullah Ali Qari. He went to the masjid to lead the prayer. One of the majadhib who prayed behind him left the prayer and said, I saw some uncleanliness in your heart. Ibn Abidin thought of that uncleanliness to be his position on the walidain, which was the position of Mullah Ali Qari. He retracted that position and he placed the position of Ibn Hajar Makki and Jalaluddin as-Suyuti, which is the mainstream position, that the parents of the Prophet ﷺ was saved. Ibn Abidin rahimullah, this example of Ibn Abidin shows that he did not place in his hashiyah things solely because of the judgments of the rulers. You find throughout his hashiyah where he would oppose the rulers on many things. So I do not believe he was liable to answer to Ottoman paymasters. I would ask, do you follow this methodology as laid down by Al-Imam Ibn Abidin? Because I would also claim that the overwhelming majority of Hanafis today, overwhelming majority of Hanafis, if not the entire Hanafi world, which is the Indian subcontinent, including Pakistan and Bangladesh, Central Asia, as well as Turkey and Syria and Egypt, all of these scholars consider Ibn Abidin as the ultimate authority of the latecomers. So in which points do you differ with Ibn Abidin in his actual methodology? So just to recap some of the points, how are we doing with the time? 5 minutes, that's the timer. So just to recap with the points, the main points that you would have to answer is that admittedly, you said if there is a light shift from the east, then this would mean our position is correct, that the Fajr prayer starts at that time. However, based upon your sighting, you say your sighting shows that there is no light shift. Then I would say from the growth of the light, this would indicate, from the growth of the light, this would indicate the actual time of Fajr, even though I would say there still is a light shift based upon the sighting of people who I know, which is not the subject of today, but based upon the growth of that light, this would also indicate the start of Fajr time. Secondly, how can you determine from the Zahir Riwayah that a person himself sets the time for fasting? This is something very important. How can a person himself determine the time of fasting? By, for instance, the example I gave, a person starts fasting at 12 o'clock, another person at 4 o'clock. How would the fast be? How could Fajr be allowed whilst people at the same time are fasting? Or up to Tulu' al-Shams. Tulu' al-Shams, the rising of the sun, is fasting up to that point is not found in Zahir Riwayah. This is something that goes against Zahir Riwayah. Thirdly, as far as the merging of the Maghrib and Fajr, that goes in with the two previous points. So I'll finish here and you can counter my points.
Okay, anyway, thank you very much for presenting your argument. And now, actually, it's my first time when I'm speaking, because before that, maybe I would speak that God does not look like a human being, and it wouldn't make any change. Now I know what exactly I am dealing with, and I'm happy that my 20 minutes just gone for waste, for just explaining something which I already presented, not once, not twice, many, many times. First, you obviously said that where have you been? So when you was checking it, where you was, that matters. Of course it matters. So I'm not saying that if that whiteness which is spread everywhere, if it does not disappear in the UK, so that is applicable in Saudi. I never claimed that, okay? And also, these papers actually present exact time and when exactly it will be applicable, okay? So where you was when you was testing, of course, I agree, but it explains, okay? But there will be a time from which date in May it will be applicable on all over the UK. So that's the first thing. And also, the second thing, obviously, you said that حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض. So يتبين in here, there are two different things. Appearing, bayan, okay? And the second is yazdada. You was using yatabayyana for yazdadu. It's two totally different things, okay? And the other issue, you said that, okay, if this does not shift from east and west, so if it shifts, then we look for appearing. But if it does not shift, then we don't look into the appearing, but we look into increasing. That is actually against ijma. I don't know if you heard something. Sorry, if you can just answer my question. I don't know if al-qawl bil-fasl. What is qawl bil-fasl? You did al-qawl bil-fasl in your claim when you said if light shifts from west to east, then we will be going with just appearing. Light appearing, but if it does not, so if it will be all the time there, then we don't look into appearing, but we look into increasing. I said that is al-qawl bil-fasl. And as you know, al-qawl bil-fasl is khilaf al-ijma'. Okay, because the scholars who said that when you are considering just appearance, and that is the mu'tamad Hanafi position, then you just disregard the increasing. But if you consider the scholars who said the increasing, and that is the position of one and only Shamsul A'imma al-Halwani. So Shamsul A'imma al-Halwani disregarded just appearance. Means now you brought totally third issue in which you are taking one in one scenario and the second in the second scenario. Obviously that is al-qawl bil-fasl, and if you are aware of, that is al-khulf. Anyway, and the second thing you asked, that you said that I will be unable to present that the issue from Zahir Riwayah in which one person will start fasting at 12 and the second at 1 and third at 2. Obviously, it is in Zahir Riwayah. Okay. Do you know, we have this disagreement between Abu Hanifa and Muhammad. I don't know if you have heard this disagreement. It doesn't look like, because you wouldn't criticize me on that thing, in which anything in Sharia not cleared, غير مقدر, which is not specified, the quantity and amount, Abu Hanifa says we do not specify. Okay. He says just to avoid the confusion, and that is in Zahir Riwayah. That is Zahir Riwayah. Not only 10 by 10, and even, do you know the minor filth? What is the position of Abu Hanifa in minor filth?
He wasn't.
It never wasn't. That is Abu Hanifa. It's never that. Abu Hanifa says utruk ila al-mubtala bihi. This is actual from Zahir Riwayah. Means we just leave it to the person. Okay, but Imam Muhammad says if we just leave it to the people, it will cause some type of doubt. So that's why he said 1/4 of the cloth, regardless if it is one whole of the cloth or only the part of the cloth in which. So that is the position of Imam Muhammad, and both is in Zahir Riwayah. And actually, the Mutaakhirin, they say, the latest Hanafi say, we go with Muhammad just to cut the doubts of the people. But the strongest position as the Mu'tamad is the opinion of Abu Hanifa. So according to that, the time when there is no time of Isha and Maghrib and Fajr, so what is the position? According to Zahir Riwayah, Abu Hanifa says, utruk ila al-mubtala bihi. Leave it with the person who has that problem. Means, let's go back to the minor filth. Minor filth is, for example, the urine of, for example, the sheep. So Abu Hanifa says, for the minor filth, there is no any amount. Imam Muhammad says, quarter, just to cut the doubt. According to what Abu Hanifa said, maybe I will find even 1/3 of the cloth with the minor filth, I find it fine. Abu Hanifa says fine. But maybe someone else might find that it's even 1/10 is too much. So Abu Hanifa says, yes, you are right. Means it's exactly the same issue. The amount of permissible minor filth for one person is 1/4, and for another 1/3, and for another is 1/10. So question, the days in which there is no time of Maghrib and Isha and Fajr, if I say that you have to keep the order and no time, so some of the people will start fasting at 12, some at 2, some at 4, and is that supported by Zahir Riwayah? It is supported by very Zahir Riwayah and by very opinion of Abu Hanifa. So that is your second argument. And also, obviously, you mentioned Mutun Arba'a, so because you are Shafi, so that's why you are unaware that Mutun are not only Arba'a, but there are many others. But Laknawi, Abdul Hayy Laknawi, this scholar from subcontinent, so he says the latest fuqaha, they mainly use this Mutun Arba'a. Okay, or otherwise, we have many Mutun. Just go to this Mutun Arba'a. It does not include Mukhtasar Tahawi and Mukhtasar al-Karkhi. Okay, so, but it includes, for example, Quduri, okay, Mukhtar, okay, the Matn of Ikhtiyar, as well as, according to some of them, is Majma', okay, as well as Wiqaya. But what about the Bidayah? Bidayah is the actual main thing of the, but that's fine, that's nothing to do with our argument, but you are saying that it's Mutun Arba'. Obviously, it's not Mutun Arba', but the latest things. So anyway, now you are saying that Fard Amali, which is according to Abu Hanifa, it is wajib according to Imam Muhammad. First of all, don't get it wrong. Witr is Sunnah according to Muhammad. Okay. Both Abu Yusuf and Muhammad, it is Sunnah. Okay. As well as what Abu Hanifa says, what Fard Amali, it's not wajib according to what Sahabain say. It is Fard Amali. The definition of Fard Amali is agreed upon. There is no disagreement. Okay, maybe you are confusing the issue between haram and makruh in the matter of al-hadar wal-ibaha. That is totally different chapter. That's totally different field. I think because you are Shafi, so you are unaware of that, but you can take it from me. I will give you ijazah on that one. Anyway, no, because you said you are Shafi, aren't you?
I think some of your students said it incorrect.
I'm Hanafi.
Sorry for that. Sorry. I don't know. Some of your, this Muhammad Zair.
Did you say?
And also, and also that's fine. Okay, I'm sorry for that. You're Hanafi and you're a genuine Hanafi person. Anyway, time is... so anyway, in terms of when exactly is the time of Fajr, is it when light appears, spreads on the horizon, or is it when light hits the house? Disagreed upon. Imam Shamsul Aimma al-Halwani, I do personally support. Unfortunately, the mu'tamad is what Jumhur Hanafi said. So just light spreading on the horizon, that is the mu'tamad. Okay, Shamsul Aimma says, after that, it should hit the wall from the windows. And that is the, unfortunately, weak opinion. Shurumbulali clarified that, and as well as Ibn Abidin clarified that. Okay, so I personally think that what Shamsul Aimma presented is much more stronger, even though I know that Mu'tamad is what Mutaakhirin said. So that's why, so regardless to that one, do you know this light which appears in the sky whole night? So that is accordingly not to the Jumhur Hanafis, but accordingly to Shamsul Aimma. Okay, so it's not that we are going with the Jumhur in this issue. Okay, so do you know so I was not only checking the sky, which is according to the Jumhur, but I was, because by myself, I think that Halwani is stronger, so I was checking the Halwani's opinion. So light was hitting the wall in my house. Do you understand? Okay, so anyway, so that's another thing that you have mentioned. And also you said that light shifts from the west to the east, and then you confirm that it's not because of your own testimony, but because of some group of people. I don't know which group is it. You did not clarify. Is that Deobandi?
No.
Berlawi? No? Did they confirm it in front of you? So he confirmed by himself. Yeah. Well, with a group of people. So he said that it shifts. I'm going to meet him. I don't know when exactly. No, that's fine. But I saw it by myself, as well as astronomers. I don't know if you take what they're saying as correctly, as well as we can check it. Okay. So anyway, what I'm saying, so the time of both of Maghrib and Isha coexists, according to Shamsul Aimma al-Halwani's opinion, in the same time. So I saw it, and here is the astronomy. And also you said that the Bulgar, Tatarstan, current Tatarstan in Russia, that is not applicable because of, so sunsets here appears there. Have you been in Russia, Tatarstan?
No,
I have been there. It never happens. So it's not that it disappears here and 2 seconds it appears there. It's not that. And even let's go hypothetically. I go with you. So you are claiming that in Hanafi school, so in both of these scenarios, if it appears straight away or after 3 hours, as long as there is no time which is specified by Quran and Mutawatir, Sunnah and Ijma, you are saying that it is different, isn't it? I'm saying it is not different because Quran is very explicit about the time of Fajr. As well as Mutawatir hadith that you claim is very explicit, and Ijma is also. And they're saying they speak about light appearing, and they never spoke about how fast it should be. It is something that came new. I think it's our friends from subcontinent. And also you said Central Asia. I'm from Central Asia, and that's the opinion of Ibn. So have you heard any Central Asian scholars say that Ibn Abidin is only? We support Qadi Khan and Sarakhsi. I studied there. I was born there. Have you heard about this thing? It's for information. Anyway, and another thing, Rasmul Mufti, of course, Rasmul Mufti, Ibn Abidin, so he's not the first person to present it. It is in Al-Muhayt al-Burhani. Muhayt al-Burhani is from Burhanuddin al-Bukhari. Yeah, so Rasmul Mufti is summarized or extract of Al-Muhayt al-Burhani, as well as Sarakhsi, as well as Qadi Khan. Of course, I accept it. I do accept it. Okay, so, and also another thing in terms of Ibn Abidin, I love him a lot. I use him as one of my sources, okay, but I consider him as latest Hanafi because he is latest Hanafi, Okay, so paymasters. We never said that paymaster. I think it's some of your colleagues actually accused us about paymaster. I think it's Suyutis. Did any of Avicenna said that paymasters of Ibn Abidin made him to say that?
I think on the article we wrote due to the pressure of the...
Yes, paymasters is offensive, you know. That's totally offensive thing. So please choose the words, okay? And no need to make... yeah, so anyway... and also you said that eating up to the sunrise, that is against Zahir Riwayah. I say if there is start of Fajr and Suhoor, end of Suhoor, then it is Zahir Riwayah, or otherwise it's not in Zahir Riwayah. Okay, Zahir Riwayah says if there is start time of Fajr, then you cannot eat up to for example, the sunrise, but it does not speak. It does not. Zahir Riwayah does not speak about the situation which we are talking about. So that's why you claiming that it is against Zahir Riwayah. Obviously, you have to show me the place where it says that in the situation where there is no time of Isha, okay, and where there is time of Fajr and Maghrib coexist. So then Zahir Riwayah says you cannot eat up to the sunrise. You have to show me a proof for that one. Okay, so anyway, very briefly, I have only 50 seconds. So you said that, okay, Zahir Riwayah goes about if we just leave it with the people, so one will be start fasting at 2, one at 1. You said it's not in Zahir Riwayah. I have proven that it is in Zahir Riwayah, and it's opinion of Abu Hanifa, which is Mu'tamad, Khilaf al-Mashhur. Okay, as well as the opinion of you opposed, so you made al-qawl bil-fasl when you considered both of appearing and increasing, which you mixing and matching, and also you said that witr is wajib according to Abu Hanifa and Muhammad. Obviously you've got it again wrong. I think I have 10 seconds, and also yeah, that's it. Okay, so I will carry on in the last segment, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Firstly, Ustadh Atabek, the point you made regarding yatabayyana, kulu washrabu hatta yatabayyana lakumul khaytul abyadu. You said that the word has two meanings. Even though at this particular point I've not checked the mufradatu al-fadhil Quran al-raghib, but if we say the first meaning is tulu' itself and the second meaning is intishar, both we know that the Quran has multiple wujuh of interpretation, and at the same time the Quran can have multiple meanings which are true at the same time. So both meanings are true, that once the tulu', the Fajr appears, then people stop, restrain from eating and drinking, and once the light starts spreading, people stop eating and drinking. Even in Al-Muhit al-Burhani of Al-Imam Burhanuddin al-Bukhari rahimahullah, the statement regarding mawaqitu salah, what he states here, وَدَخَلَ وَقْتُ الْفَجْرِ هذا هو المنقول عن أصحابنا رحمهم الله ولم ينقل عنهم أن العبرة لأول طلوع الفجر الثاني أو لاستطارته وانتشاره وقد اختلف المشايخ رحمهم الله تعالى فيه. Meaning regarding the actual appearance of Fajr, he states that they do not even decide whether it's istitaratul Fajr, which is the actual appearance of Fajr, and intishar, whether it's the actual spread of Fajr. And you'll know from Al-Fatawa Al-Hindiya, Al-Alamgiriya, where they mention the dispute regarding the spread of Fajr or whether the actual appearance of Fajr. This is a disputed issue. So based upon this dispute, I would say if there is a shift of the light from west to east, that shift is sufficient to establish Fajr time. If there is, for argument's sake, if there is no shift of light, the very growth of the light would be sufficient based upon this difference. Secondly, you mentioned regarding Al-Imam Muhammad al-Shaybani and Al-Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. Yes, they have this dispute regarding taqdeer, for instance, 10 by 10 of the well. There are other examples as well. How do you determine the size of impurities, najasat, the mas'ala relating to the dirham, the silver coin, all these different disputes. You mentioned the example of rubu' thawb, 1/4 of the garment. This is fine. They have this dispute in juz'iyat. These would fall under juz'iyat, meaning they are not universals. How can you develop a kulli, a universal principle based upon this juz'i, and that kulli that you've developed does not relate to those actual juz'i differences that they had? This relates to those juz'iyya, this actual difference relates to a kulli which is determining the prayer time and determining the fasting time. So this is actually a universal rule that you've made, that you have extracted from a juz'i. So this would not prove your position from the Zahir Riwayah. In fact, I would say it's an inferred position which is incorrect. Your position is an inferred position from some things which you have understood from Zahir Riwayah, with some of the differences in the Zahir Riwayah, and you have inferred and made a universal principle, a kulli. And this kulli, in fact, it goes against Nasul Quran, stipulation of the Quran, goes against the Mu'tamad position of all four schools. You mentioned Al-Mutun Al-Arba'a. Now the reason why I said Al-Mutun Al-Arba'a is an example of four mutun which are relied upon, generally speaking. What they mention, in some scholars mention as a principle, if Quduri, Mukhtar and Kanz and Al-Wiqaya agree on something, then generally speaking, that is the verdict in the school. So they refer to these four as Al-Matun Al-Arba'a, which are gathered in Multaqa Al-Abhur of Ibrahim Al-Halabi rahimahullah. This does not mean that the matun are limited to those four. Of course, we know Al-Imam Al-Tahawi has Mukhtasar, his Mukhtasar. There are other matun in the school also. You cited Lakhnawi, Abdul Hayy al-Lakhnawi. In fact, Abdul Hayy al-Lakhnawi rahimahullah was a scholar who went against the school on many positions. As you will be aware if you read his book As-Si'aya, his commentary on Al-Wiqaya, which he didn't finish, or his other works like his Ta'liq, his mini commentary on Muwatta of Al-Imam Muhammad, his commentary on Nafi' al-Kabir and Al-Jami' al-Saghir. Abdul Hayy al-Lakhnawi rahimahullah goes against the Hanafi school on multiple positions, and in fact he takes fatwa from the Maliki and the Shafi'i school. There we come to the point where you refer to me as a Shafi'i. That would be interesting because you base that not even on Khabrul Ahad, not even on Khabrul Ahad, the solitary report. In fact, your basis for considering me a Shafi'i, which I don't mind because I have great respect for Imam Muhammad bin Idris, a Shafi'i radiyallahu an, and the Shafi'i scholars, as well as the scholars of the other schools. You went against your own principles. You based that judgment not even on Khabrul Ahad, but based upon social networks where people can make multiple claims without verification. Now we are face to face, alhamdulillah, you are verified that all my life I have followed the Hanafi school. But I do not have a problem if someone chooses to move away from the Hanafi school and follows the school of Al-Imam Shafi'i, or the school of Al-Imam Malik, or the school of Al-Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahimahullah ta'ala, which we also, these books are taught in our madrasa also. There's Al-Ghaya wa Taqrib, Matn Abi Shuja' is taught in our madrasa. We teach kids, children and elders, the Shafi'i school also. People are free to choose whichever school they want from the four schools. So you mentioned also that you yourself take the position of a Halwani. You consider that position better, but you don't take the position. Is that correct? You don't take the position. So that would mean, of course, you're not Sahibu Tarjih. You follow Ashabu Tarjih. Is that correct? Meaning you do not claim to be from Ashabu Tarjih. Just wanted to clarify that, because I don't base my judgment on Khabrul Ahad, not even Khabrul Ahad, less than Khabrul Ahad. Akhbar Wahiyat, that don't even have any basis. Because people have said to me, he insults Al-Imam Al-Qadi Iyad, rahimahullah. But I've not taken that up, because I've not heard you insult Al-Imam Al-Qadi Iyad rahimahullah. You may have another explanation regarding that, or in the article nevertheless you do refer to Al-Imam Ahmad Rida Khan as heterodox, as person who holds heretical or beliefs, heterodox meaning beliefs which are not mainstream or non-conservative beliefs, non-mainstream beliefs. That inshallah we will discuss later. With regard to Al-Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah and the witr, for instance in Fathul Qadir, Ibn Humam rahimahullah, he mentions this. He states, وَهُوَ الْمَعْنَى بِمَا رُوِيَ عَنْ أَبِي حَنِيفَةَ رَحِمَ اللَّهِ أَنَّهُ سُنَّةٌ. By the way, me stating Al-Imam Abu Hanifa was buried in Al-Kufa, that was me asking the audience, where is Al-Imam Abu Hanifa buried? They said Kufa. Memory lapse. That was a simple memory lapse. Of course I know Al-Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah is buried in Al-Baghdad. It doesn't mean a memory lapse based on the fact that he was born and raised in Kufa, based on that. But it doesn't mean I'm any less Hanafi than any other Hanafi, or a person who ascribes himself to the Hanafi school. Of course I would be against madhab fanaticism. The position I take on the schools is the same position as Shaykh Muhammad Sa'id Ramadan Al-Buti rahimahullah in Allah Madhabiyya. This is the same position that I would take. So here he states, أَنَّهُ سُنَّةٌ وَعَنْهُ أَنَّهُ فَرْضٌ. So from Imam Abu Hanifa that witr is fard. أي عملي وهو الواجب, meaning fard amali is wajib. فعنه ثلاث روايات. From Al-Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala is three narrations. From Al-Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah is three narrations. عنه ثلاث روايات. So here we will have three narrations from Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, not one narration on the witr. So when we say this would take us to another original point, that original point is that the school of Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, when we say this is Al-Mu'tamad, Al-Madhab, this is the school, the positions of the Sahibain, Al-Imam Abu Yusuf and Al-Imam Muhammad rahimahumullah, are in reality the positions of the Imam which they have related from the Imam, but they give preference to. Al-Imam Abu Hanifa sometimes would not have one position on any one given issue. He may have multiple positions on a given issue, and then the Sahibain may choose one of those positions, and Al-Imam Abu Hanifa may choose a contrary position. So in reality all the riwayat of the Sahibain are in fact a riwayah from Al-Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah himself. As for Al-Imam Ibn Abidin rahimahullah, you said in the article, what this means is that Ibn Abidin has not brought forth any proof from the Hanafis to support his position. The main reason for him attempting to prove the position is the pressure he received from his employer, the Ottoman Empire. The pressure he received from his employers, the Ottoman Empire. Now, in Sharh Uqudi Rasm al-Mufti, Al-Imam Ibn Abidin rahimahullah ta'ala, I'm sure you visited his grave in Al-Bab Saghir in Damascus. He rahimahullah, you claim that he gave this fatwa based upon the pressure from pressure he received from his employers, the Ottoman Empire. This point is a da'wah claim you have made against Imam Ibn Abidin, that he's based on pressure he gave this actual verdict. The book he wrote on Shatim al-Rasul, the one who insults the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But apart from this, what you stated regarding Shah Waliullah rahimahullah, that he in fact in his essence was a Taymiyan, meaning he had Taymiyan tendencies or Taymiyan beliefs. What you mean by that, you would have to clarify as to why Shah Waliullah rahimahullah you would consider him a Taymiyan. Of course, these comments, Shaykh Atabek, these comments may be upsetting, well in fact are upsetting to a lot of people, but I'm willing to of course discuss these things in a reasonable fashion without emotion. Of course it's upsetting to me as well, but it would be interesting for you to present why you would refer to Shah Waliullah rahimahullah as being Taymiyan. Of the exact wording I've not found, but now I will give the microphone to you to counter my points.
Okay, anyway, thank you very much for your presentation about Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Abidin and the rest of the scholars, which I'm not really concerned now. We may maybe sit down some other time. And also you said it's Khabar al-Ahad. Well, it's not Khabar al-Ahad, it's two of your students confirmed, Adil Quraishi, and there was another person, and it was Adil Quraishi. I don't know, today morning I received this email, and it was sent yesterday. So anyway, Adil, is it Adil Quraishi? Adil, so whatever, no, that's fine, leave it. That's fine. And also, I do not make my judgments based on the, well, you are accusing me of saying that Ash'aris are deviant and you wanted to school someone. Where did you get that assumption? Just leave all of that on the side. So from 10 minutes, you only made 3 things, not new, but repeated. So you said appearing and increasing. Okay, so as I said, it is qawl bil fasl. You didn't answer my question. So because do you know the scholars, Halwani, who said increasing, so he disregarded appearing, just dhuhur, okay? And the scholars, which is Mu'tamad of Hanafi, which said just appearing sufficient, so they disregarded the izdiyad, okay? And you came now and you are saying, okay, yes, in this scenario we go with that, and in that scenario we get, obviously this is qawl bil fasl. Please go and check al qawl bil fasl. Actually, Mullah June actually clarified that, explained the meaning of. So just go and look for it, al qawl bil fasl. So you are falling into al qawl bil fasl. Anyway, and also you said that opinion of Abu Hanifa, which is leave it with the person, okay, who has got that problem occurred. You are saying it is juz'i and making it universal. So anyway, it's not that. But the example on which that general qaida kulliya was used, okay, in our shuruh books, it was just juz'i. Because look, because it's not juz'i as you are claiming, because this issue goes with the size of the al-ma'ul kathir, al-ma'ul qalil. Am I right? The size of the lake. Okay, so if it would be only in that, we would say juz'i, but it goes further. It goes in terms of the, do you know, namaz, when you pray namaz. So when it is amal kathir, Abu Hanifa says, leave it with the person. Do you understand? So it's talking about the size of the lake, as well as it's talking about the number of the acts. Okay, Abu Hanifa says, leave it. Imam Muhammad says 3, okay, as well as the size of filth. Means it's not qaida juz'iyya, but it is qaida kulliya. That's fine. Even if you are wrong, even if I go with you, even if you are wrong. So what you are calling as qaida juz'iyya, I mean the juz'i issue, so that which I said, time of salat. So what is that, how is it different, okay, to the issue of the purity, minor and major impurity. So both are shart of namaz. Do you understand? So if time is juz'i, okay, so in that case, the filth, the issue of filth is also juz'i. So obvious means you did not answer to any of my questions, but you repeated the same issue. Means I have nothing to answer to your question, but yet, alhamdulillah, I have 6 minutes. So anyway, coming back to the issue. So as I saw by myself, as well as astronomers confirming, not one website, many, saying that light remains whole night, not only on the west, but on east as well as on the sky also, means time of both of Fajr and Maghrib is coexisting, okay? As well as that is according to the intishar, you know, is diyad. So it hits the wall of your house, okay? So means now time is no more there. And one of our principles, Hanafi principles, we say, nasbul abdali bir-ra'yi mumtana. Do you know, setting up a replacement? Okay, it's not permissible in our school. For example, if you are ill, you pray standing, if you can. If you're unable, sit down. If you're unable, lay down and make ima. But if you're unable to make ima, what do? We say, do not pray. But can you make your movement of your eyes, or for example, your eyebrow? We say no, because Rasulullah that much he explained. But what about the replacement for the ima of the head? In Hanafi madhab, we do not set up the abdal. Okay, so coming back, timing timing of the namaz, so it is very clear. Rasulullah ﷺ says, as well as in Quran, it is to do with the specific times. But what about if it does not exist? So in ahadith, we have Sahih al-Bukhari and many other. Sharh al-Mushkil of Tahawi, Rasulullah ﷺ says, O people, do not be confused by adhan of Bilal, and do not be confused by the light which is vertical. Okay, so means time will be known by two things. Okay, so either you have got that actual time, which is light which is spread, or you go with the order only. So you pray Maghrib, then Isha, and then Fajr. And this order is must by Ijma. Okay, but do you have to do it in spread away? So it's your choice, as long as you do not believe that this is the actual time, because now you are setting up your own badal. Okay, and abdal in Hanafi school is not done. So maybe that is very clear disagreement between our position and the Shafi'is. So Shafi'is, they do estimate. We say the time is غير معقول المعنى, and one of the conditions of the qiyas that it has to be معقول المعنى. So how do you know why is exactly in that specific time? You don't know. Means just follow the text, and if the timing is not there, means you will not be doing any of ijtihad. Okay, so I think I didn't get any refutation of whatever I said. So only what he was saying is that if it shifts, so then time is there. Obviously, I agree. So if after sunset, there will not be, the light towards the east. Obviously, there is no time of Fajr. Okay, but if there is, so he carries on. He says, but if spread light will exist there, so then we care about increasing. For that one, you need a proof. Second problem is in what he was talking about. Quran is not mentioning. He did not. Very first, my criticism, he just avoided. So he said that I am opposing Quran. Okay. Well, then he was unable to present, because hatta yatabayyana. Yatabayyana does not mean that it is from east or west. Yatabayyana means appearing. Okay. So then, where did he find me conflicting with Quran? Okay. So that was obviously, it's nothing to do with today's thing, but he criticized. So that's another thing, and I have 2 more minutes. I don't know what to talk about. Yeah, so so shall we talk about this Ibn Taymiyyah thing? I'm not really interested. So anyway, that's what I saw. Yeah, and also just coming back, very maybe last thing, the paper which was signed by a group of Deobandi and Birlawi Maulanas. So obviously that has got kufri statement in there, for which all of these people who are listed, they have to repent. As it was done publicly, they have to repent publicly. So they're saying no Fajr. So any country where there is sunrise, there is Fajr. Okay, and as we know, rejecting something which is known by Darura is kufr according to Asharis. Okay, but according to us, Maturidis, rejecting anything which is mutawatir is kufr. Obviously, in both of the scenarios, it is the issue of kufr, and also we have to warn the people. No, well, look, warn the people from yourself, because you are committing kufr publicly, and you are. I'm not talking to you, but I'm talking to the person who has written it, because you said that you did not agree with this, but your name is there anyway. Yeah, and also it says that we do have. Official position about where there is no time of Isha, but then what is that? He says just contact the local Maulanas. Well, he's not answering the question. So if you're criticizing someone and warning the people from someone, so you have to present what exactly is the actual position, and that was not done. But obviously I don't mean you, because you said that you did not agree with this.
I'll explain it.
That's fine. Or otherwise, anyone who rejected the compulsion of the Fajr in the place, in the country where there is sunrise, obviously they're kuffar, they have to make public repentance, which I'm expecting from the people who agree with me. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Firstly, I would like to address this takfir issue regarding kufr and placing a fatwa anathematizing another group of Muslims. I've looked at this verdict which was typed up, and this may have been emailed to me, and I viewed it. So before signing this, they said, we're going to place your name. I would advise you not to judge someone as a disbeliever without reviewing the actual sentence which you're referring to. The actual sentence which you refer to is basically an example of poor grammar. The person's written, the problem is that in the UK during the summer there is no Isha or Fajr. This part is what you're referring to as being disbelief, because denial of Fajr and Isha is kufr, is disbelief. But the person continues, whoever composed this sentence states, even prior to this, they're stating that according to them the timing is not in. The actual timing is not in. So their position would be the same as your example of you saying that Isha does not come in. Does Isha come in during those days? There is no Isha. So if you said there is no Isha, would we say Shaykh Atabek has done kufr and you must do public tawbah? No, because we know that you mean that there is no Isha because the sabab has not come in. So whoever constructed this sentence is referring to the asbab of Fajr and Isha not coming in. That is very clear.
So it's not something that you are blind.
But look, the person, you can counter me in your time. So this then leads to the problem of when Fajr starts and what the last time for suhoor is. So in fact, the person who's formulated this sentence, I wouldn't tell them to repent for kufr, disbelief, because we're not like Ahbash in Lebanon who jump the gun and declare people kuffar and disbelievers. We must review what did that person actually mean by this. They do not deny Fajr and Isha. They believe in the obligation of Fajr and Isha. Whoever composed this is referring to asbab not coming in. Yes, you can say they are mistaken regarding this, but I would say it's a case of poor grammar, because they do believe in the obligation of Fajr, because otherwise why would they have 18-degree and 15-degree debates? Why would they debate that issue? Why would they debate nisful layl, tansiful layl and taqdeerul awqat and all these different debates? So we would refuse to do takfir of these people and anathematize them and declare them as disbelievers. As for this claim regarding Ash'ariyah, I would say my position on Ash'aris and Maturidis, you would know very well that the disputes between the Ash'ariyah and the Maturidis are limited to a few disputes. Even some of those disputes are semantical in their nature. This has been covered by Imam Tajuddin as-Subki rahimahullah ta'ala. The reason why we refer to ourselves as Ash'ari, this can be done out of taghlib. Taghlib in ilm al-balagha, this could be done out of taghlib. In the same way, this could be done by meaning that we prefer some of the positions the Ash'aris have taken, meaning in certain things like al-husn wal-qubh, just for example, or al-imanu yazdad wa yanqus. In these particular things, we may take the position of the Ash'ari school. Therefore, a person is free to refer to themselves as Ash'ari or Maturidi. In essence, the two schools are one. We do not believe that their disputes are so great that they become two different sects, and I'm sure you would hold the same, that they're not a different sect. But you said that the Ash'ari school believe it possible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to lie. I would say this is a false ascription to the Ash'aris. Yes, you may find even in the books of Al-Baqilani many positions which people do not rely upon. In the same way, Al-Imam Abu Mansur Al-Maturidi rahimahullah, in his book Kitab al-Tawheed, which I heard you're translating, what does he say regarding the sins of Anbiya alayhimus salam? Do you take that position, even though it's in the book of Imam Al-Maturidi rahimahullah ta'ala? You take that position that the Anbiya sin? Check the actual text itself. So here, the other points that you mentioned regarding the qawl of Imam Muhammad rahimahullah, you said it's permissible for you to take that juz'i and make a universal rule. Why? Okay, I would be very precise in how I quote you. That the rule of Imam Muhammad rahimahullah is a kulli. Yes, the taqdeer, how he measures the time, how he makes measurements. This is a rule, which is a valid rule. And therefore you would apply that in the school when it comes to determining Fajr time. But I would say in reply to this, that the judgment of Imam Muhammad rahimahullah is in fact a juzi, the mistaq of which is a few things. Mistaq of which is a few things. Mistaq meaning what it's relevant to is very few things. Meaning he would apply that to a very few things from something which is a juzi, which the mistaq of which is a very few things. Things, you cannot make a qaida kulliya based on this. You have made a qaida kulliya, a universal rule, and from that you have stated that a person can determine his own Fajr time. So, in fact, Al-Imam Muhammad al-Shaybani rahimahullah made, or we wouldn't say made, had this position in order to make things easy for the layman. Now, in order to make things easy for the layman, your position would be that the layman can pray Maghrib, pray Fajr and go to sleep. This position in fact would confuse the layman even more. Why your position would confuse the layman more is because they would have, after they pray Fajr, some of them would pray at 10, some of them would pray at 12, others would pray at 2. It would lead to more disorientation amongst the layman. The rule of Imam Muhammad al-Shaybani is to remove disorientation. If taqdeerul awqat is impermissible in the school, this what you have given is an open end to people to determine the Fajr time, and leaving an open end to them, each one giving his own Fajr time, leading to even more confusion amongst the people. As well as this, the start of the fast itself, by ijma', consensus of the entire ummah, once tulu'ul shams happens, the fast timing starts. So, according to you, a person can continue eating up until tulu'ul shams. So up until tulu'ul shams, this is khilaful ijma'. This is the consensus of the four schools is once the shams comes up, his fast is invalidated. In fact, we would say the fast is invalidated from when the Fajr time commences, from which is the shift. So if the other thing is, if this shift exists, or if there is, like I mentioned from Al-Muhit al-Burhani, that if there is intishar at a specific point, if there is a shift or if there's intishar, any one of these 2 points, if they happen to be true, your entire argument will fall apart. Just for interest, in Hashiyat al-Tahtawi, you mentioned regarding in our school, there is no taqdeer al-awqat. You know what Tahtawi states? What does he say? He mentions للأمر فيه بتقدير الأوقات أي أوقات الصلاة أي على خلاف القياس فلا يقاس غيره عليه فلا يقاس. This is what the interesting part. فلا يقاس عليه غيره. Why? Because you know the rule that if the maqis and the maqis alayh, there must be some relevance, that if there is no ma'qul reason for doing so, you don't make qiyas on that thing. So you said that Imam Muhammad al-Shaybani's rule, again going back to that we cannot base things on ghair qiyas. I would say your position is not based on qiyas. In fact, it's ijtihad which you have done as an unqualified person, because you're not sahibu tarjih, you're not able to give a tarjih, as someone who may criticize Ibn Abidin rahimahullah, may criticize Shah Waliullah, but your mistake is greater than their mistake in what regard? In the regard of invalidating people's fast, because people will be eating during that time, not because of the premise that things are made easier. No. If something is easier, you give rukhsah to people. If someone has mashaqqa in a journey, Shaykh Atabek, if someone is traveling and they cannot pray the salah in the time, would you give them the Shafi'i rukhsah that they can do jam' bayna salatayn? Would you give them this rukhsah, this leeway? Would you? The Shafi'i rukhsah. If it's permissible. Yes, changing mazhab is permissible. So this extreme Hanafism, which, by the way, saying that my time's finished. I'll continue after, inshallah.
Right, so that concludes the main part of the debate. Now we're going to move on to the conclusion. So both parties will present the conclusion for 10 minutes. As Shaykh Atabek started it, if it's okay with the Shaykh Asrar's party, if they can do the conclusion first. Because remember there was a dispute at the beginning about who starts. So just a conclusion. Is that all right? Oh.
Yeah, because first I wasted my 20 minutes.
So if you do it, because now the debate's finished, it's just conclusion. So you're going to conclude your point, and then he's going to conclude his point, and then we're done.
You see, I've just spoken and I've said what I need to say. So if there's any condition, Shaykh Atabek has to say, if I need to respond, I'll respond, otherwise I'll...
Okay. Okay, that's fine then. So again, we'll go with what Shaykh Asrar wanted, which is that he wants to be second. So I'll just call Shaykh Atabek up. So it'll just be a conclusion now. So you're just finishing off your points.
Okay, so anyway, just to conclude, obviously the points which I presented was not answered. First and very important thing, you are contradicting, you are conflicting Quran. Which Quran? Which exactly verse? And where exactly I'm conflicting? Not answered. And the second thing is Imam Muhammad, principle of taqdeer, that is juz'i. First of all, I never said Imam Muhammad, I was talking about Abu Hanifa. Okay, and I said that is kulli. What's the difference between juz'i and kulli? I will give you my time, yeah.
One's a universal, one's not.
No, that's fine. Universal pictures. What exactly is universal?
No, the thing is...
Yes, so what is juz'i in fiqh? What is juz'i in fiqh?
Juz'i in fiqh is an extracted ruling from a universal principle.
So anyway, in al-ashbah wa al-nadha'ir, so what you're calling as juz'i is called dhabita. So we have qa'ida, we have dhabita. So what you're calling as kulli principle in fiqh is called qa'ida. What you're calling as juz'i principle in fiqh, that is called dhabita. So you are claiming that we do any place where there is no... That is juz'i. Yeah, so what... Excellent. So now the bab, chapter of prayer and chapter of purification, is it same bab or is it two different babs?
Two different babs.
Thank you. So means if one principle is going into two or more chapters, it's no more juz'i. Am I right?
You're right if that were true.
Not if myth. Excellent. That's fine. So what is the position of Abu Hanifa in terms of al-amalul kathir in namaz? What's the position of Abu Hanifa?
Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah states the person is observed, and if the person is observed...
Thank you. Means utruk ila al-mubtala bihi. Okay, and what about the amount of the minor filth, which is excusable? According to Abu Hanifa, it is najasat, chapter of Tahara. What's the position of Abu Hanifa? Quote is Muhammad. Excellent. Means one principle is going to two or more chapters, it's no more juz'i, it's no more dhabita, it is qa'ida, which you are referring. اترك إلى المبتلى به ما لم يأتي الشرع بتقديره لا يقدر شرعا. Of course. So wherever there is no Sharia, Sharia is not specifying, even for example, praying, okay, in terms of time prayer, okay, so we do not specify, but we just leave it to the person. Means it goes, this qaida, what you are calling as juz'i, which you are calling dhabita, it is a general principle. Thank you for that, for helping me. And also you said that it will be confusing the people. Well, I don't think so, When I came to the UK, I found in Leeds people, okay, in one of the mosques, they do pray all of three prayers, okay, in one go. Okay, means it's not confusing the people, as well as maybe it's more confusing if people will stay awake whole night waiting for the nisful layl or whatever. Okay, so that's another thing. And also you said we are conflicting ijma. Where is the ijma? So do we have any ijma about the issue where there is no time of Isha, where there is light appears everywhere in the sky, where is the ijma? Who is transmitting that ijma? Is it the Ibn Munzir? So where is it exactly? Is it Ibn Hazm or is it Ibn Taymiyyah? Who is presenting that ijma? No, because I don't mean to accuse you Salafi, because Maratibul Ijma is Ibn Hazm, isn't it? And yeah. So or for example, Al Ijma of Ibn Munzir. So just give me please. Where is that ijma? Sorry. So it means there is no any ijma, because so the ijma is wherever there is time, you have to be strict with the time. Wherever there is no time, Shafi'i says estimate. Malik says go with the closest. Do you understand? And also you saying that the Tahtawi things bringing that we do taqdir. So that Tahtawi was bringing from Dajjal, isn't it? So the hadith of Dajjal. So Tahtawi is confirming what I'm saying. So Tahtawi says, because estimating is narrated only in the issue of the Dajjal. So means the rest of the situations will not be done qiyas based on this. Do you understand? So he's supporting what I'm saying. Okay, so thank you for mentioning that. And I don't know, you did not address any of my questions. So for example, yatabayyana, you said yazdada. Where did you get it from? Yatabayyana, bayan. Bayan is dhuhur. Do you understand? And also, in terms of what you mentioned from Al-Muhit al-Burhani, I told you already there is disagreement between Halwani on one side and the Mu'tamad of Jumhur, of Hanafi. So why are you bringing it again? It does not support you, because the actual issue all over the night, it is the time of Fajr according to the Halwani. Do you understand? Which is later than what Jumhur are saying. So it is izdiyad is that. Okay, means there is no any time of Isha at all. And that ziyada, izdiyad of nur, izdiyad of that shafaq, is all over the sky. Means it is, according to Halwani, it is the time for both of Maghrib and Fajr. So what to do then? Okay, so I'm talking about that one. And you keep on bringing that if it's shifting. I said, if it is shifting, so then yes. So forget about that. And then increasing. So you made al-qawl bil-fasl. I said, fine. So according to that, qawl bil-fasl, it is increasing. All over the night, it is there. Okay? So this time in June, switch off your lights. Okay? And then try to see. You know, the light will be hitting your wall from the window. Means, according to Halwani, it is the time of Fajr. But sunset just now, you understand? Means no any of your arguments that you are bringing. So we are talking about only one and only scenario in which all over the sky, the nur that we're talking about is izdiyad or not. So yes, I did check it by myself, and then astronomical websites are confirming that it never disappears. Do you understand? So means what you're talking about is about the situation where there is shifting, or, so that's not applicable no more. Okay, so anyway, so that is another thing, and also in terms of the kufr, denying the Fajr. Look, for example, someone has chopped off palm, but this is there. Okay, so someone comes, says actually he does not have to wash. Definitely that's kufr. Okay, it's not because he's saying there is no washing the arm in the wudu. If he would say that, that's another kufri thing. Okay, but he sees that place is there which have to be washed. Okay, sunrise means it is there, but then when is the time of Fajr? So he's referring to estimating, means there is no Isha, now we have to estimate. Same thing is applicable on Isha. I say there is no Isha time, so that's why we do not estimate it. Okay, so he's explicitly confirming that place where there is sunrise, there is no Fajr. So we have to estimate. That is 100% kufr, you know. But I'm Maturidi, I give excuse to the people. Okay, I see many people and lectures, shuyukh, they commit kufr. I just ignore it because according to us, we excuse the people. But I'm referring to this group of people, they just go over the websites and they insult that person is kafir. So because they went too far, so let's speak about them. According to your own principles, you are all kuffar. Okay, but for me, I do try to find 10,000 excuses. Okay, so that is two different things. And so I don't know. You did not address my issue. So I have 2 minutes. So let me just rephrase it. So you said that I'm conflicting with Quran. Tell me, please, where exactly? Because Quran for us is very important thing, so we do not oppose that. The second is that I'm conflicting with ijma. Where is the ijma? We're talking about the time where light is all over the place. So where I'm conflicting with ijma. And also you said qaida juz'iyya, qaida kulliyya. So one principle being used in more than one bab, it already sets it to be qaida kulliyya. Okay, so it's no more qaida juz'iyya. And also you brought about a lot about this shahwali. So right now that's not relevant to our issue. And also you said that yatabayyanu means yazdadu. And also you said that I said yatabayyanu has two meanings. I never said that. It's you are the one who is saying. You are the one who is mixing and matching between the mu'tamad of Hanafi and the opinion of Shamsul Imam al-Halwani. Okay, and also mutun arba'a, well, that's not relevant. And also person specifying his own time. As you saw, it is the Zahir riwayah from very Abu Hanifa, and that is the Mu'tamad actually. Okay, but latest Hanafis gave fatwa based on opinion of Imam Muhammad to get rid of the confusion. Okay. And also in terms of wajib, so Kamal al-Humam did not confirm what you said. So he did not say that fard amali according to Muhammad, according to Abu Hanifa is the wajib according to Muhammad. It's two different things. So both of Abu Hanifa and Sahaban, they have that fard amali and wajib. And witr according to Sahaban is sunnah. Okay, fard amali is something which validates or invalidates, and a wajib is something which perfects or makes it imperfect but valid. And thank you very much. And that's all. So please, can you just address what I asked you to address? Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Firstly, with regard to Yatabayyan and the verse, how I believe that Shaykh Atabek's position is in contradiction to the Quran. What was meant by this is that the word hatta yatabayyana is in reference to both intishar and zuhur. That once zuhur al-Fajr happens, that the Quran orders us to abstain from eating. Now you are claiming that once the sun has gone down, the light that is on the horizon is the light of Fajr, as well as Maghrib. The shafaq that appears on the horizon is the shafaq for both Maghrib and Fajr. My claim is that once the sun has gone down, the light that appears on the horizon, the initial light, is the light of Maghrib, a shafaq. So that light, once that light remains, a person prays Maghrib. Then, once there is a shift in that light, Fajr time starts, which you agreed. And you said, in this particular case, there is no shift. In UK, there is no shift. But if there is no shift, in effect you are claiming that because there is no shift, it is difficult to determine the Fajr time, and therefore you give an expansive time, which is all the way up to sunrise, for people to pray the Fajr prayer. And I would say this is also in contradiction to the Quran. Why? Because the verse of the Quran, حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ, would also mean intishar. So both of these meanings, zuhur and intishar, are within the same verse. Out of interest, the reason why I mentioned Al-Muhit al-Burhani is because he said our mutaqaddimin, our earlier scholars, were unable to determine the exact meaning of tulu' al-fajr, meaning whether it's intishar or the istitara or intishar. So both meanings would apply to fajr. Even if you check Al-Fatawa al-Alamgiriyah, you will find this dispute in that book also, and in other Hanafi books, where they have an actual dispute regarding whether Tulu al-Fajr starts once the light has appeared or whether once the intishar has happened. If we take that into consideration, once we have taken that into consideration, the conclusion would be that once the sun has gone down and there is a light on the horizon, once that light has appeared, people pray their Maghrib prayer. Once the light starts increasing, or if the light shifts, in any two of those scenarios, this would determine the start of Fajr, and people stop the suhoor, abstain from eating and drinking, and therefore they do not contradict Al-Quran al-Kareem by following that. But by following your verdict, they have a merging of Fajr and Maghrib, and they are left confused. This is very clear to me how people would remain confused, because they are praying Maghrib and then they are praying Fajr, but each person is praying Fajr indeterminately without a specific time. Now you mentioned Al-Imam Muhammad rahimahullah, his qa'idah. You say this is a qa'idah meaning kulli, or dabita meaning a juz'i. If we accept that this is a qa'idah kulliya, I would believe that the application of this qa'idah does not apply in this case. Why does it not apply in this case? It does not apply in this case simply because the increase of light, as well as if you say there is no increase, this would be going against observation. You mentioned sitting in the front room and observing. It's not very professional to observe the dawn light in cities. You would know that. Of course, you went out in the country, I would expect, and in the actual darkness, you would notice that there is a shift. There is a shift. If you say there is no shift, then there is definitely an increase in the light. Once that increase starts, we have people in Birmingham who have observed, not myself, but other people who will be releasing, not apart from him, other individuals as well, who will be releasing a book on this issue, where they have observed the light, and they have observed that the light has actually grown. So when you observe the light growing, once that is determined, that would mean the actual start of Fajr prayer. So if people did actually observe the increase of light, they would be able to make a timetable based upon that increase of light, and that increase of light would mean the start of Fajr prayer. As for mentioning Al-Imam al-Tahtawi rahimahullah, the purpose of mentioning Al-Imam al-Tahtawi's Taqdeer al-Awqat was that you do not hold the position of Taqdeer al-Awqat.
Neither he does.
He doesn't hold that. So he says, فَلَا يُقَاسُ عَلَيْهِ. Yeah? Meaning you do not do qiyas. So what I was referring to was in fact the qa'idah of Imam Muhammad al-Shaybani rahimahullah, and your application of the qa'idah. But if in fact that is not a dabita but a qa'idah kulliyah, I would say that this qa'idah does not apply in this case regarding determining the Fajr time. So in conclusion to this, I would say the following, that just to re-clarify my position. So when those days come, which they call al-ayyamu ghayru mu'tadila, the non-balanced days, when those days arrive, the sun goes down, the whiteness stays, people pray the Maghrib prayer, then they pray the Isha, based upon whatever position they take, which you agree with, that people are free to follow whichever position they follow. After this, the people or the scholars of this country must determine when is the increase of light, or when is there a shift of the light. At that particular time, people pray Fajr time and the fast ends. This is safer for the fasts of people and safer for the prayer also. Because if they pray the prayer, Fajr prayer, prior to the actual shift of light or increase in light, their Fajr prayer will be invalid. If they eat after the shift of light all the way up to sunrise, and you mentioned ijma', how can I say that there is ijma' on fast being invalid at sunrise? I would say this is ijma', that once the sun is up to sunrise, meaning after Fajr, post Fajr, if someone eats food, their fast is invalid. So I am saying that the Fajr time has happened and people are eating according to your fatwa, therefore their fast will be invalid. I don't need to quote Ibn Hazm's Maratib al-Ijma' or Ibn Taymiyyah's commentary, because you would agree that they are unreliable in copying ijma'. Isn't this the case? They are unreliable. They are unreliable. I would say Ibn Hazm as well is unreliable, based on Al-Fisl, what he writes in Al-Fisl, and the possibility of Allah having a child and other things. His strange views he has in his Al-Fisl. But anyhow, the conclusion, this is my conclusion on the subject. I would say your fatwa is grossly mistaken. You need to review this fatwa, have a review of the issue, and inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this debate for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in the future, I hope to have more discussions on pressing issues whenever there are any direct issues with yourself, because a lot of things are said regarding yourself that people said to me, you disrespected Imam al-Qadi Iyad, Shifa, Kitabu Shifa, other people present other things, but in future I can directly contact you and confirm those things. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to do so. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.